All right. I think that's all good. I think we're live. I believe so. But anyway, hey, how's it going, everyone? No, this is a really like last minute stream. I think things are all good here. Let me check. Yeah, seems like it. Okay, cool. Hey. All right. Let's see how this is going. I know like part like a large part of like any live stream just beginning is like, oh, just making sure things are working. Everyone's here, or at least people. I don't know. Excuse me. This was the last minute. This is the last minute thing. Well, not last minute, but what's the word? Impromptu. Very, very impromptu. Just because I haven't done like chill streams in a while, or just hanging out and chatting. Which these were like some of my favorite types of streams in the past. Let me turn this thing on. Yeah, show live chat. Yeah, because these used to be some of my favorite types of streams. Just hanging out, chatting, talking. Um, I don't know. Okay, with Sword and Shield, like it's been real weird lately. Uh, not that like there's no motivation to make any sort of content or anything, but just that like I don't know how to get this off my chest, which is exactly why I wanted to like do some sort of stream or something. But no, Pokemon Sword and Shield are pretty cool. But yeah, like I said, it's just been so long since I've had just any sort of like just chat to hang out and like this. And yeah, I know it's got to be like this format, I suppose, because I like okay, recently it's just been real difficult for me to sit down. Standing up is just better. Like standing up to work or to do anything is superior to sitting down. Or excuse me, at least in my opinion. And I should have cleared my throat before standing here and chat. I was gonna say sitting here and chatting, but anyway, like with Pokemon Sword and Shield, I kind of did want to do something like this to chat about Pokemon Sword and Shield, like when it first came out, right? But or at least when the first trailer came out, right? But well, when the first trailer came out, I mostly just kind of jumped right into videos, right? Like theories and discussions and trailer breakdowns and stuff like that, rather than like doing hangouts and chats. Like one of my favorite streams that I've ever done is right after Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were announced. I did the Pokemon Ultra Salt stream because, after Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were announced, just a lot of people were not that they weren't happy, but of course that was like by then we already had the Switch, and so everybody was really expecting a Pokemon games to come to the Switch. So just all over Twitter, everybody was just all really really salty about there not being a game announced for the Switch, and that like the next Pokemon game we're going to be getting in 2017 was going to be for the 3DS, and it was going to be enhanced versions of Sun and Moon. So that was just really funny to just go. Basically, we just went through Twitter and just laughed at everybody. Not laughed at everybody complaining, but we were looking at a lot of the memes and everything here and there, which, that's something I haven't been able to do. Or I didn't get around to doing. Let's see who's in the chat. Mega Curve SSM is in the chat. Hi, how's it going? And so, recently though, I've been wanting to do something like maybe a Pokemon Sword and Shield meme video or meme review, but everybody's already got to that. I should have done it a lot earlier. And I mean, that's something kind of weird. Like with Pokemon Sword and Shield, let's see who's in the chat. Tapping Nose says, hey, how's it going? Uh, Crowl Pal says, sup. I don't know. Pokemon Scots. Oh yeah, Pokemon Scots, which that's a big meme of like the Scottish in Pokemon, or like the Pokemon trainer with the accent. And again, I don't know. That meme is like okay. Again, it should have like a meme review. Let's see. Ascent says greetings. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, no, everyone's showing up now because like, well, not that it takes a while for everyone to show up, but like obviously, especially like if you're like me and you're like, oh, let me stream today for some reason, just because I have a little time, so let me do that. Uh, but okay, in terms of content to make for Pokemon Sword and Shield, like I feel like that's my problem, right? Because I started making videos during the Sun and Moon days, and like a little more later on, I started getting a little more serious in it. Let's see, Pokemon Sun and Moon was announced in February of 2016, and I started posting frequently in May. I think I believe it was in May, or because or no, by April, right? Because in April we got like the first real big trailer for Sun and Moon, and then that's when I was able to just start making a lot more content about it. And so a lot of my content, right, a lot of my big content during Sun and Moon and during Ultra Sun and Moon was really based off of trailers and any official information. And I feel like that's the downside of just basing your channel off of anything, like picking a specific focus for it, right? Like for me, right, Pokemon. So obviously I require Pokemon stuff to exist. And I could, of course, always go back and just talk about older topics, which I really should do. I tried that a little last year, and I should be doing that more so this year. But with Sword and Shield, I mean, not that I don't know what to talk about, but I don't know. I wanted to do like a venting stream a while ago because like last week things were interesting, but of course my week just got ended up getting better. And let me know how this setup works for streaming because I might just do this because like I said, I'm standing right now because I feel more comfortable standing than anything else. And again, I guess that allows me to walk around. I gotta work on my setup here so that I can have like this as my backdrop and that I can just like stand in front of this for any sort of videos or anything. But point is, uh, I don't know. Like I feel like with talking about Sword and Shield, there's only so much you could do. With my podcast, right? That happened. Let's see. When did the last episode go up? The last episode went up like 2 weeks ago at this point. Which, by the way, any of you frequent viewers, there's no podcast this week because March has like 5 weeks in it. We're restarting next week. Let's see. Your streams are fine. Yeah, no, I like doing streams, but okay. I'll admit, don't take away my PokeTuber card, but my computer's not very good. It's good enough for making videos and thumbnails, and that's about it for the moment. I can't stream from my computer. It's just it's just not. It's no bueno. But I'm gonna be getting a new computer. I've already started putting away some stuff for it. Some stuff has happened earlier this year in which I had to like dip out of those computer funds for something else. But no, things are going well. Like right now, I'm streaming from my phone because I got a new phone. Because because I'm like, okay, do I spend like a few hundred to get a new computer right now, or do I spend like 80 to get a new phone right now? I needed a phone more than I needed a computer, but I can stream from my phone now, which is a little better. I got the iPhone 8, so it's I know the iPhone 8 isn't a new phone, but it was newer than what I had before. But no, like honestly, I want to get back to doing streams because I actually really, really like streams. Again, just with Pokemon Sun and Moon. When did I start? I think during Ultra Sun and Moon, the series of Ultra era of Ultra Sun and Moon, I was streaming a little more often in terms of like discussion stuff or even gaming stuff. Which okay, gaming streams are just 100% or no 110% I can't do. I can do gameplay videos, which by the way, I'm making them over on GatorX Plays, which well, I don't mean to sigh, but I mean recently, I've been again not necessarily like roadblocks and like that I feel like I don't know what to create or don't know what to make. I've been feeling that a little on here, and with Gator X Plays, there's like just there's a lot to sort out with that. I'm very happy with how I've like been posting relatively frequently on that. I'm working on another video for that now, which by the way, it has the same like backdrop as this, so that's pretty cool. And as you can see, like I guess these are spoilers for my video, but you can see my copy of Cory in the House All Star Edition. It's my prized possession. That's why I keep it up here with my Switch box and my Starlink box. I don't know. Things are weird, but creatively, I've been feeling a little. I've been feeling pretty good actually. I've been doing a lot of shoot. There's something in my. I've been doing a lot of Detective Pikachu discussion as of late, but mostly because we've been getting new stuff for that. The Amso in the chat says hello. Let's see. Meg Curb says Cory in the House is the best anime. Exactly. That's how I got started in anime, basically. But I mean, I don't know. Like streams are always so fun, and not okay. Not saying that like I feel like some people don't appreciate, but like I don't treat myself or I don't see myself as like someone with fans or with like or like a YouTube. I say PokeTuber for the like the sake of conversation and stuff. I'm just some dude making videos and people watch, and I'm the same way. I watch other people who make videos, and I don't know that's why I like YouTube and just the internet in general is like you get that connectivity of a community. But point is like it's just always really cool because I see frequent commenters, right, and frequent stream people, And recently, I've been getting more and more people, and I'm seeing more new faces. And in the Discord server too, just frequent people who frequent that in the community. And it's weird to say like it's not my community. I don't want to say it's my community, but it's my area of this grander Pokemon community. And it's just always cool to see, frequent like usuals, I guess, or frequent people, because it's like, oh hey, I get to see what Vigor the Sloth commented on this video, or I get to see what Bootleg Pikachu or Frosty commented on this video, and on the next one, it's like, oh, here are their thoughts here, or so on and so on. And again, like I said, I'm noticing new new faces, and that's always the cool thing in streams too. I don't know, like like okay, I don't want to talk about like, oh this whole thing's about like how I don't know where to go. Crow Pal, and let me know if that's the right pronunciation. That's the thing. He's always trying to read names out loud in chat, but he says, I like watching your live streams. Yeah, I like doing the live streams. I think the live streams are really fun, and I'm like, if this setup works out right now, my phone here, this is my terrible mic, and then this is my backdrop, because I mean, just look at my nice collection. I need to get another shelf so I can expand the collection. But I got all my Pokemon amiibo and the Splatoon amiibo here. And then yeah, the plushes are down here. You can't see the plushes, but no, this really worked out for my pickups video, which I'm working on right now. It's gonna be going up on GatorX Plays, but I don't know. I don't want to talk about like a bunch of videos I'm working on, but I guess like creatively, like I said, this has been a pretty good year so far. And okay, for one thing, with Pokemon Sword and Shield, like I said, a lot of my content kind of relies on trailers and stuff like that. I gotta move away from that in terms of like being able to talk about, just make a video or talk about something or live stream something where it's like not necessarily news related for Pokemon Sword and Shield, because then I'm at the mercy of whenever there's a new trailer. And by the way, there hasn't been a trailer since it's been like a month since we had the last trailer, because that came out February. Shoot, it's been exactly a month. I don't know. February is always weird, but the first trailer came out February 28th, right? Today's March 28th. Anyone else worried for Sword and Shield? Ooh, that is something interesting because, which by the way, the Absol says that. Anyone else worried for Sword and Shield? I don't know. Okay, Verlis, which by the whether you like him or not, whether you watch his content or not, I'm sub to him. I saw his thumbnail in my sub feed, just talking about the view difference between the Pokemon Sword and Shield trailer and the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee trailer. Of course, those are different circumstances. I haven't watched the video yet. I haven't had a busy week, but definitely there's obviously going to be a view difference because the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee trailer has been out for longer, obviously. But Sword and Shield, I did notice, a lot of big memes, and let's see, Tapping No says, yeah, I'm a bit worried. Okay, I know that's the interesting thing, because for like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, right? Like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee reached 10 million copies sold, like 10 million units sold. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee sold 10 million units, which that's kind of like the baseline for every Pokemon game. Not every Pokemon game, but for the most part, like that's kind of like a basic thing for Pokemon. And Sword and Shield, I definitely think it can reach that. Okay, I think there's a whole like thing of like having expectations too high for Pokemon, right? Obviously, Sword and Shield wasn't going to be an amazing open world Pokemon game. It wasn't good. Hey, look, Closer's in the chat. He says, "Whoa, yeah, I know, man. It's been a while since we had a stream." I know, like it's been a while, but that's what we're talking about today. But point is, like, yeah, Sword and Shield wasn't going to have like Breath of the Wild level graphics, or it wasn't going to be like an open world style game, or it wasn't going to be like, oh, we're changing up the battle system. Battles are going to work differently. This and that. It's not going to look like. I think the looks too. That's one thing people were talking about, and I feel like some high expectations were set, and I don't want to say that anybody's to blame for high expectations. Let's see. Looks good enough for me to play Pokemon again. Exactly. Like that's not my thoughts, but that's what Closer says. Which, by the way, Closer, do you have a Switch? If not, let's see. The Absol says, I want to see it really take advantage of hardware, bigger and more often, not open world, movable camera. Okay. And Closer says he will get a Switch. Which, but yes, when you do, add me as a friend. But yeah, okay. Sword and Shield, or for a new Pokemon game, all you need for a new Pokemon game. You need 5 new Pokemon and a new region. That's all you need. Okay, obviously they're going to be more than five, but you need three starters, two legendaries, right? Maybe maybe three legendaries. But all the Pokemon game needs to be is just Pokemon. Um, in terms of like shaking up the formula, I've always stated like I think spin-off games are where you shake up the formula or where you add something new or go deeper in the story or anything like that. But I definitely think that Sword and Shield might need to step things up. Okay, for one thing, like it's already a great step up. We're seeing like from the graphics because the DS, like the 3DS, right? It's a toy. The 3DS is a toy, and the Switch is a beefy tablet. So even though it's not not near the levels of like Xbox One or the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro or anything, the Switch is pretty powerful, right? And it could run more than just a Pokemon game. I mean, we see it like with free. Okay, Warframe. I haven't played a whole lot of Warframe, but if you've seen any of Warframe, it's a huge game. It's so intense and it takes up a lot of space on the Switch anyway. And the Switch can run it. I think a lot of that goes to Panic Button, the people who ported it. But the fact that a huge game like that can run on the Switch is pretty crazy. And so I definitely like to see this because the Switch can handle it. The Switch can handle big games. And Pokemon doesn't need to be a big game, but I definitely think that like now that you have the Switch, now that you're not limited by a screen like this big, you can do a lot more with it. And let me catch up on chat. When this flips, let's see. Okay, Tapping No says, to be honest, I think we should expect big changes in Pokemon for Gen 9. I think Gen 9 there will be massive changes in graphics, etc. or etc. I think so, but on one hand, okay, so there's already a major difference, and I think I talked about this. There's already a major difference in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and Pokemon Sword and Shield. Like Pokemon Let's Go and Eevee looked pretty good. It looked all right. It looked, it was it was a really good looking Pokemon game, right? And when I saw it, I'm like, okay, wow, if Generation 8, whenever it comes to the Switch, if it has these graphics, I'd be fine with that. But Generation 8 looks better than Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So already it's a step up. But yeah, I think maybe Gen 9 might be the time to like have something big and some shakeup. Again, whether we get like the Switch XL or the Switch Pro or anything, then that might be the time to do something. Let's see. Closer says they need to do the XY model. Keep old concepts mixed with some new. Stay Pokemon, but be refreshing. I agree with that. Because all right, like X and Y that was okay with Mega Pokemon, Mega Evolutions, and with Z moves, you definitely think like, oh, those are big gimmicks. Z moves are gimmicks. Mega Evolutions are gimmicks. I don't want them. But X and Y being like the first ones to introduce that, that was a pretty big shakeup. And on top of that, X and Y were the first with their 3D graphics. I think Black 2 and White 2, I really, really like Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. I think those are the perfection in terms of how it looks, how the game looks. Keeping it 2D, having it stay sort of retro, but having it also be new and look good. And so X and Y was the first to move up to that. And like the pre-release screenshot or something of X and Y, compare that to like how it looks in the final version. It's so different because the final version looks really good. Like X and Y still looks pretty good. Again, like I said, it's on a screen like this big, but it looks good. And in terms of just doing other things, like I said, Mega Evolution, and I mean, on one hand, people will say like, oh, X and Y was like too pandering to like to Generation 1. You could pick another starter from Kanto, or there's the Mega Evolutions for the Kanto starters and everything. But at the same time, keep in mind that was coming off of Generation 5, which had just done like, hey, guess what? There are no old Pokemon in this game. Only 150 of the new Pokemon that you can catch. So going from Black and White, which was very much pushing the new, going into X and Y, which was very, very not pandering, but included a lot of older things, right? Included a lot of things for older Pokemon, but keeping it new and refreshing. I think that's a good balance. Let's see, let me catch up on chat. Absol says stone walls and fences in the trailer look like models from Skyward Sword on the Wii. I've heard people say that. I've never played Skyward Sword, so I don't know how that's like how to compare that. But okay, you can't. On one hand, like Pokemon is behind in terms of graphics or whatever. You could say that, but if it's catching up to that point at Skyward Sword, which Skyward Sword looks pretty good from what I've seen, I haven't played it yet, but for Pokemon to look that way, I think that's good. Definitely though, we'll have like we've only got one trailer. We'll have to see how far it takes things. Maybe in terms of like how battles are. Maybe all right, if they bring back triple battles, which okay, they should be able to do that. They should be able to bring back triple battles because if the Switch can't, okay, the 3DS obviously couldn't handle a triple battle of Moltres. That's the one way to just kill your system, triple battle Moltres. But if the Switch Pokemon Sword and Shield can't handle triple battle Moltres, then like at that point, like what's the point? What's the point of new hardware? I think at the very least it could handle that. I think the real test of like Sword and Shield might be how much it could not necessarily the graphical version, like graphic wise, but in terms of what's going on. What's going on the screen. And again, I always get so behind on chat. Closer says Mega Evolution kept old Pokemon relevant against stronger new Pokemon. Okay. Let's see. Dan Valilion says, if I get that right, says, when I saw the logo, I instantly thought rotation battle. Yeah, if we get rotation battles back, that might be interesting. Because, I think that's why, like, Generation 7 dropped triple battle and rotation battle, just because there was, a lot of other things going on, so they couldn't exactly keep that going on. And I mean, the 3DS is, okay, the new 3DS was able to handle a little more. But in order to have a Pokemon game that's able to play on the new 3DS XL and the 2DS, which that's what I played on. I played on the 2DS. Like, you had to just, take some things out. Or at least just remove some features that were just going to lag everything. Let's see. Desdar100 says, notice that the Big Mon in the crop field. Oh, yeah, the big Pokemon geoglyph, which I think we talked about. Yeah, that looks, I mean, I can't exactly say, I didn't take a deep look into like the trailers to try to see like how things are made, in models. And again, I know, I understand a little bit about 3D animation, and obviously there are a bunch of shortcuts you can take. Invisible walls and like the sky that you see in the distance is actually a wall, while with some other games, like it's not the wall. You can actually go there and like, so, in terms of like what it could handle basically. Let's see. If it's a third legendary, then this will be the first time they've ever alluded to it in a launch title. That's pretty interesting theory-wise. I don't know what it is. Maybe, like, okay, what if Sword and Shield, rather than having two alternate legendaries, they just have, like, the same one legendary? And let's see. Dan again says, also think about that Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon had icon for Pokemon Go Pokemons, meaning both were intended for Switch. Meaning both were intended for Switch, but it's too early to release it on a new console, and probably Niantic didn't make it on time. Oh, in terms of like integration. Oh yeah, like the 3DS. I don't know. That's probably like Niantic's fault for this. Now let me switch this thing because this thing keeps like. Fine. Scroll here to. I know my finger's in the way of the camera. Let's see. What I hope for most is a large focus on story, simultaneously not slowing down the player, and that at least 120 new Pokemon. I think 120 is quite a bit of Pokemon. What was, let's see. X and Y was like 60, 70-ish? I'm not sure. Okay, at least 100, right? Because Pokemon Gold and Silver had 100 new Pokemon. It's a little over that, about 100. I think at least 100. If they, like, okay, you can't say like, oh, they need to have this much, or I want them to have this much. They should have this much. But I definitely think that it would benefit Pokemon just so well if they include at least 100. I've mentioned it, in other videos. I don't want any new gimmicks. I don't want armored Pokemon. I don't want more Z moves. I don't want Mega Evolution. Just focus on Pokemon for new stuff, I guess. Let's see. And now Sword and Shield are made on the same engine. Same engine as probably. Well, like. You could make it on the same engine. It's just that now you can allow for more for higher like better. You can render it out better, or it'll look better when it's rendered out. Unrelated to Pokemon, but did you find out your other two Power Ranger mains? No, I've been playing. I'll play it tonight. I got no time. I got to do this. Let's see. The goal for every game is the guy from the box art, which. That makes sense because we don't even have box art for Sword and Shield. When they do officially that's what they did for Sun and Moon. because they put out a little trailer. They didn't show the starters for Sun and Moon, but they put out a little trailer. They showed, oh hey, this is what's in development. This is Pokemon Sun and Moon, and then they didn't show the box art or anything. When we do get the official box art of Pokemon Sword and Shield, then we'll know whether that's like then we'll know whether there's going to be a legendaries in the games or anything. And anyway, hey, I mean, I'm not a numbers person. I don't care about numbers, but we got 13 people in the chat. It's pretty nice. Let's see. Yeah, 3DS models were made to be future-proof. That's why they lagged on the 3DS. Yeah, I could I think it's definitely like in terms of like how they rendered things out, in that it looked different. See, XY was 72 Pokemon, Sun and Moon was 80. It was disappointing because their combined total was less than Black and White's 156. Which yeah, that's a thing. Black and White did have 156 brand new Pokemon. I think at least 100. At least 100 would be pretty nice. Although okay, the bare minimum should be that 70 from X and Y. 100 would be fine. See, Pikachu's X and Y model has more polygon than his Smash 4 one. Remember the rumor for Z moves with Joy-Cons? I think they actually tried. Still would replay Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon if they'd port it to Switch. I don't know, that's a weird thing of like porting Pokemon games. I don't know how likely that'd be. Okay, for one thing, it's one thing I mentioned with like the Switch has one screen, and for so long Pokemon have had two screens. You could remedy that, of course, with changes here and there. But in terms of port, okay, the one thing I want them to do is I want them to hurry up and announce, just like, oh, they're probably not going to, because there's no virtual console, but just like, please on the Switch, just give us Ruby and Sapphire. Ruby and Sapphire are one of my favorite Pokemon games. Let's see, Aegislash. I wonder when we get any more info or trailer. That's another thing, says Antonio Valdivia. I'm sorry, I always want to read out chat names, but I feel like I get them wrong. But yeah, I wonder when we're getting a new trailer. It's been a month already, like I said. A month ago, we got the first trailer for Sword and Shield. I don't know if we'll be getting any more soon. I totally expected one in March. Like this week, I had my alarm set and everything to make sure I wake up at 6 o'clock a.m. to check for new trailers. Typically, I expect them to be like Tuesdays, Thursdays, right? That's most of the times when we get trailers for Pokemon and stuff. Well, okay, Wednesday was like, it was the exception last month because Pokemon Day was Wednesday. But I fully expected a trailer to come out this week. And so next week we're already dipping into April. So I suppose we'll get one in April. Well, I got to look up some history. I think we might be, okay, April 4th, right? Or April 3rd. Well, okay, April 4th, we're getting new merchandise for Detective Pikachu. So maybe in the vein of like keeping that a Pokemon week or Pokemon weekend, we might get a new trailer next week. Who could really say? But I definitely think the next trailer that we get is gonna introduce the legendaries, or at least is gonna show the box art, or and it's gonna obviously it's gonna show more of the region. We already saw like a good amount of the region. We got the map already, but the next trailer definitely I feel like is gonna be a legendary Pokemon trailer, and so we'll get all the answers to those questions, which I don't think it's gonna be two wolves. See, Game Freak burnt out with Black and White to the point where they struggle to make some lines. Subaru handed off Oshawott to another designer, and that's why Samurott is a sea lion. Oh, make some Pokemon lines. Interesting. But yeah, I mean, with 150 new Pokemon, that is a whole lot. Unpopular opinion, I want in Sword and Shield, turn music off. Streams will be super hot fire. Well, could you set no music on? Were you able to do that? You were able to change the music, definitely. I don't think, I think it was only through like, external programs that you could turn off music. That'd be an interesting feature. Let's see, X and Y had two main story legendaries and Sun and Moon's legendaries, and unique Pokemon count was a large chunk of the total roster. Yeah, definitely. Okay, like, so Sun and Moon definitely, because they had like, you had Solgaleo Lunala and their evolution line, so two more Cosmog and Cosmoem, the walnut. So 4 Pokemon just for the main legendaries on each box. Necrozma, and then you had the 4 island. So that's already like 9 legendaries. And then other mythical stuff. Yeah, it had a lot of legendaries. Like, okay, Black and White had a lot of legendary Pokemon too, but again, like I said, that's 156 or so new Pokemon. I think they gotta cool it with legendaries. I actually don't like legendary Pokemon as much anymore. Let's see. And also Meltan is a Gen 8 Mon. I think it was the original leak, and it lines up with Steampunk style Sword and Shield. I have no idea what to think of Meltan anymore. Is it Gen 7? Is it Gen? I think it's like technically kind of Gen 8. Has there been official confirmation on whether it's like Gen 7 or Gen 8? I'm not sure. We'll see when it gets announced, but definitely I think Meltan has something to do with Sword and Shield in a way, especially that one industrial looking thing, how it's all like this and that, and it works out as like a big like a big teaser thing for Sword and Shield. It's confirmed that it's Gen 8. Okay, cool. But yeah, like it's like, oh hey, look at this new Pokemon that you can get in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Oh, and hey, guess what? It has something to do with Generation 8. Here's Generation 8. Let's see. What's the number one thing you want from Game Freak to add in Sword and Shield? For me, it's a difficulty setting. Difficulty set. I don't know. It's like, how do you? That's the whole thing of like, how do you make Pokemon harder? Okay, I don't know. I don't know. What do I want them to add into Generation 8 into Sword and Shield? That's a good question. Like for me, I've always just wanted more Pokemon. Okay, we're turning to the Battle Frontier, I think. Which, by the way, Closer mentioned that in his arriving today. I got a notification from Amazon. My card sleeves are arriving today in the mail. Wow, who would have thought that? Okay, all right. It's confirmed that it's Gen 8. Pokemon Inc. Company says it's Gen 7. That's a weird thing about Meltan. I really hope Sword and Shield will have a more balanced roster this time around. Offer enough Pokemon for many kinds of new Pokemon only teams for the curious players. Okay. Interesting. Like more different types of Pokemon. Like Sun and Moon, I think had a lot of unique Pokemon for one thing. The thing is though, a lot of them had like fully unique abilities or fully unique moves, which I feel like that was kind of the attempt to like make these Pokemon stand out from other things. I think that like just new typings or different stat distributions or just looking cool, right, is enough to get people to use these Pokemon in any sort of in a sense, or even just making them like or just making them usable or good, unlike some things in Sun and Moon, but. I feel like there are too many unique abilities, and I fear that a lot of these new abilities introduced in Sun and Moon are just going to go unused in Generation 8 by any new Pokemon. Let's see, spin-off game of a Pokemon game doesn't come out, or if a spin-off Pokemon game doesn't come out in 2022, then maybe jobless if it's Gen 8. Better AI that could make Pokemon games more harder. Better AI. I guess, but like, I don't know. With Pokemon, okay, Pokemon is an easy, fun game. It's a kid's game. Okay, well, it's for everybody. That's why it's rated E. It's rated E for everybody. But I think a lot of like okay, so like Generation 7, right? Here's my hot take for the Totem Pokemon. People are like, oh man, Sun and Moon's great, Generation 7's great because the Totem Pokemon are actually, they're actually difficult. It's harder. I don't think the Totem Pokemon were harder or more difficult. I think they were just unfair at some times. That's my hot take. Because again, well, how do you make a Pokemon battle more difficult? The real thing that goes into difficult, like making a Pokemon battle difficult, is the skill of your opponent and or like the skill of their pre-planning to build a team and the skill of their on-the-fly thinking and like to react to what Pokemon you bring out. So I guess that's it. I guess better AI and better pre-planning could make it better. Like obviously, just having Pokemon with higher levels and calling it a difficulty setting isn't going to do anything. But maybe having like two settings for the AI of the trainers, I suppose that makes sense. That works. Let's see. After playing Crystal Clear, I want to be able to do gyms out of order with trainers having scaling levels. They already experimented with open worlds in Breath of the Wild. Wouldn't be out of reach, TBH. Well, Nintendo already explored that, not necessarily Game Freak, but like I definitely think that works out because battling gyms in any order you want is a pretty cool little thing. You can do that in you could basically do that in Kanto. You could do that in Johto, which Johto a lot of the times I just typically you can battle Price before Chuck and Jasmine, right? Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, it's pretty open. Galar looks pretty open for the most part. In terms of scaling levels, you can definitely do that. I mean, it's not too difficult, but whether they'd want to do that, whether they'd want to have like whether, but at the same time, like you can always like say like, oh, but you got to think. Will someone think of the children? Because obviously kids are going to be playing the game, and that's mostly who they want to sell the games to because kids are new fans who could eventually stay with the franchise and everything. But that wouldn't make it difficult on the kids. I mean, it's just scaling levels because if it scales according to, say, how many badges you have, or how high level your Pokemon are, that's really not any different from like a regular linear playthrough. Is if you just have like gyms out, in any order that you could do. Pokemon Coliseum is arguably the hardest Pokemon game to me. It's a pretty good way to make challenging Pokemon game. Coliseum is actually super easy if you have Mischievous because AI is not good and all they target is normal. Can plow through the first 5 or so hours with Mischievous and Quagsire alone. Remind me of Nexomon. The boss Pokemon are too strong. Nexomon. Oh yeah. Gen 7 was so slow. You were stopped everywhere for pointless reasons. Took me 110 hours to beat the main story. Man, 110 hours. Well, I don't know. Depends with how. Like, that's the thing. I feel like Sun and Moon picks up a little bit. But, that's the thing of, like, how do you. Okay. Because people have been wanting story, right, in Pokemon games. And, I enjoy some of the story. But how do you incorporate it well, or how do you build these characters well without, well, okay, you don't have to stop people. Okay, for one thing, just ditch the trainer school. The trainer school in Sun and Moon, just screw that place. That's the worst. That's the worst location in all of Pokemon, basically. The Sun and Moon trainer school, except in Ultra Sun and Moon, where there's some actual story you could get in the post game. Which, by the way, I made a theory. That was actually pretty cool. The haunted school thing. Let's see. Whenever you had trainers, specialists, like one was ran. Let's see. Apps were played. Okay. I don't know. That's the thing. Mostly discussion going on there, but like, I feel like that's the thing. That's the main thing. To make a Pokemon game more difficult, just have like two settings for AI, and pre-build teams. Which, what was Black and White's challenge mode? That was I actually never played that like the Black and White challenge mode. I gotta grab some copies so I could, or Black 2 White 2 challenge mode, right? It was something like that. But I gotta try that out to gauge how like difficult it is. I mean the thing is like difficulty. Uh, I feel like difficulty for one thing is like what's the word? What's the phrase? I I'm at a loss for words. I hit my stop of like I can't think anymore. But okay, like difficulty, right? Is it something you need in a Pokemon game? Obviously, things can be more challenging, and I don't know. Some people could find more fun. What do I get? Why do I like Pokemon? Why is Pokemon fun? That's a great question. I think Pokemon's fun because like you get to see you get to experience different places. You get to see some of the journey. I love with so one thing I love about Sun and Moon is I really like how it feels a lot more like a living world. And obviously, it's still the basic like, NPCs just stiffed and reprogrammed, but like there's still like there's still enough of like small, not side quests, but just individual smaller stories or adventures you could do here and there. And I think that's great to have those, but maybe you incorporate that rather than you build upon that, like having more side stories or having more like optional quests, I suppose, or optional NPCs, or people with their own lives doing this and that, while you're like going on your main journey to like become the Pokemon champion, and then maybe stop the evil team and have that story. But like maybe that's the thing, because like I said, I think the trainer school in Sun and Moon is terrible, but in Ultra Sun and Moon, if you go back at a certain time, there's like a little event that you can do with it being haunted and this and that. And I think that's great because technically that's lore. That technically counts as lore. So maybe you could do, and that's completely optional. I didn't even know about it until, after I completed Ultra Sun and Moon, after I completed Ultra Sun, and then I found out about that. I'm like, hey, wait, there's actually something to do at the trainer school. You can go back and solve this mystery, basically, or battle these Pokemon, this and that. The only thing is, like, the levels of these Pokemon where, like, it was meant for you to, like, be able to do it. It was meant for you to be able to complete this quest when, like, right after you completed everything on the first island. But I mean, like, maybe focus less on like the characters, or maybe like give you just more optional things. But at the same time, if you miss out on like some dial, like if you do that, say like, Lily had a lot of like, let's say this scenario, Lily had like a lot of optional dialogue for her backstory, rather than you like willingly, or rather than you kind of being forced to hear it, and it was all optional. But what if you skipped it? What if you moved on with the story, and now you can't go back and get that optional dialogue? That's the whole thing. I don't know. It's a thing of story. Story progression should be in between the few towns. You shouldn't be stopped for tour-esque reasons. Look at this landmark. Have a super potion. I agree that. Build in Nuzlocke mode. We already have difficulty. It's the starter you pick. That makes sense. Yeah, the starter you pick does add some difficulty, or at least how well you can build your team later on from that. And having different options for different Pokemon, that's where the difficulty comes in. Whether what Pokemon you choose to build. And again, that's what I think I mentioned. Like the real difficulty of a Pokemon battle, like competitive Pokemon battles, is the skill, the pre-planning of your opponent, and the skill of your opponent. So then it's on you to like have the skill to pre-build your team and be able to think on the fly with that team later on. Let's see. Retro's Mom the Woods. Retro. That's a long name, guy. But Retro says, I want a Kalos post game in Pokemon Sword and Shield. If these games have no Kalos post game, I'll boycott these games. I don't. I don't think that's. I don't think that's a good take. Like, it's not gonna have. I can tell you right now, it's not gonna have Kalos in the post game. That's a fun, like, it's a fun idea. I really don't think it's gonna happen though. I think traveling to different regions as a post game, I don't think it's necessarily like it's something that you need in a game, but like it can help. Okay, with like, okay, it may, okay. I had a lot of discussion about this already, but I think in terms of a post game, really, a battle frontier or something would help out. The real Here's the thing: the real post game of Pokemon is competitive battling, and not everybody's into competitive battling in Pokemon, right? And in fact, some people are just solely into competitive battling and they don't care about the story. And that that's the downside. The post game of Pokemon games is making a team and playing competitively, but not everyone wants to do that. What'd be great is if like shoot, just straight up like bring back Pokemon contests and expand that system and then have that as an actual post game thing. And straight up fine at Pokemon Worlds, at Pokemon Contest, have Pokemon Contests as an event at Worlds. Like expand on that, because contests were like decent. Contests were a decent little thing. But if there were a competitive scene like in real life for contest, like I feel like that would have saved it in a way, because again, that's basically the post game. Is when you complete a Pokemon game, what are you going to do with it? Even if you like go through the battle frontier, really, what are you going to do with it? You're gonna build your teams competitively for VGC, or for like or those Smogon formats, or you're gonna like shiny hunt Pokemon, or you're gonna replay the game in a Nuzlocke or some other challenge. Maybe just giving more options. Again, like I said, just make contests better, and then give it actual competitive support, I suppose. And then hey, you have two different options. Like, hey, you can do other things. Like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm pretty far on chat. Let's see. Also, a non-casual option: massive Pokemon balancing. The Tapus need a smack, specifically terrains. Some minor stat changes here and there for a bunch of Pokemon. Landotheria shouldn't be this good in VGC. For years, VGC has been a copy-paste team meta, and Landosterian is 99% of the time involved. Game Freak should definitely have noticed. They definitely smacked some Pokemon. Yeah, they smacked some Pokemon in Generation 7 with Mega Kangaskhan. They changed Mega Kangaskhan. Like, for one thing, like Masada doesn't like Mega Kangaskhan because he doesn't like what it became in competitive formats and this and that. So obviously, they take notice, and I'm sure they see that, every team is basically just the same. So, if there's some way they could fix that, more so. Just more balance and nerfs, I feel like are definitely what they do. Let's see. I think the issue was Ultra Sun and Moon really should have been a sequel instead of regurgitating the OG plot, causing fatigue. Like the games a lot, but still, yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. I can bet already that we'll see post game DLC with additional stories. I don't know how likely DLC for Pokemon is, and I think I haven't talked in depth about that, but I don't know, because like, okay, we've seen Nintendo do DLC as a whole already. Although Game Freak is different from Nintendo and DLC, but at the same time, Game Freak went ahead and they made their own Pokemon mobile game. They haven't updated it since then, but they made a mobile game. So they're obviously aware, and they're trying out these new formats of games. See, no Carlos post game would be watered down. So remove a lot of, let's see, yo man. Mother Ian in chat says, yo man, yo, what's up? See, what about all these supposed leaks that are floating around? Do you believe in any and why? I believe no. I mean, okay, it's kind of harsh to say, like, I don't believe any leaks until they're proven true or false. But at the same, like, I still look at a fair amount of them, or fake leaks and rumors, right? I still look at a fair amount of them. For one thing, I was definitely wrong with the final evolutions for Sun and Moon starters. I was like, no, those are fake. Those don't look real. And then eventually they're like, oh, hey, guess what? They're real. Oh, well, I guess I was wrong. So, I mean, I'm okay. For one thing, like, I don't know. That's a whole can of worms, though, the rumors and fake leaks and stuff. But okay, for one thing, like the Bug Dragon Pokemon, right? That everyone was talking about. They're like, oh, this looks really good. Oh, it's probably real. Oh, it looks really good. It's real credible. And then the guy who made it comes out with a whole video talking about like how he did it and how he did it in only a day, which like that's pretty insane. But he basically, like, the whole point of his video is basically like, hey, I'm bored, want to make a fake leak and watch these people cover it and trick them. And then everybody gets bamboozled. He puts out the video, and then everyone else is like, "Good job, man, good job." Which, yeah, he did a great job. At the same time, it's like, aren't you the same people who got duped by this, and then you're saying, "Good job, man"? No, like, I mean, I posted a meme about it on Twitter. It's the one where like the guy has like the smiling face, and then he's crying, or the smiling face mask, and he's crying beneath it. Like, you're complimenting this guy, and he duped you. Like he tricked you. You fell straight for the bait, or like not even like, it's not even a matter of like whether you believed it or not. It's whether you covered it, or whether you thought it was good enough to cover. Which, but I mean, at this point, like a list of like posting a list of things you want to happen on 4chan is good enough for covering in a video. Which, again, that's a whole can of worms. That's a whole can of worms. Uh, all right. Let's see. Also, take a note. It would be more likely Pokebank compatible. They just added Orangu and other monkey with hidden abilities. When Ultra Sun and Moon is basically dead, why would they do that? Yeah, they gotta keep things going. Like, I honestly hope Pokebank doesn't have compatibility with Sword and Shield until like maybe not a year, but months down the line, because I feel like that's one way to keep things shaken up, in that, like, the type of Pokemon that are available. Because for the first few months of like Sun and Moon, it was completely like different, because no people had Pokebanked over their old stuff. They were all using new stuff that they had made in this game, and using strategies that only really kind of worked in this. Which is your favorite leak, or hope is real? Honestly, that Bug Dragon one was pretty sweet. I don't know, the one that I really hope is real is like, I don't know. I'd say the Bug Dragon one. Let's see. Many 4chan leaks and rumors speak about characters from Kalos, like an older Bonnie, Trevor, Clement, Shauna. Fingers crossed. I'm still optimistic. Yep. Let's see. Yeah. I definitely think that like having Kalos characters appear in the game is definitely like a good way to keep things connected. And you know what? I think for the most part, I mean, for me, armored Pokemon. I don't. I'm not. I'm personally not a fan of armored Pokemon, but of course, if they end up being in the game, I'll like them. I'll try it out. Give me that armored Charizard. But I've been here for about 48 minutes. I'm actually gonna be on my way because I've got to get some lunch before work and everything. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. And like I said, I've just been talking for so long. And on top of that, I recorded a video before this that was 15 minutes long. So I've already just been talking for like almost an hour straight. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining the chat. Yeah, I don't know. I like just doing more, I guess, venting things. Well, not venting. This one I didn't vent. Like last week, like I said, there was just a bunch of stuff I wanted to vent about. It says, thank you, Gatorx. Retro. Okay, cool. Like last week, there was a bunch of stuff I wanted to vent about. I was feeling like, nah, I wasn't feeling the best last week, but I didn't even talk about any of that today. Today was all actually, legitimate chats. But I want to do more of these more often. I don't know if this will be a weekly thing, which again, I already have like so many series where I talk so long. My recent videos have just been like 10 minutes of me talking. I got my podcast, which is an hour of me talking, and then my live streams, which are like an hour of me talking also. But I don't know, if you don't get bored of that, you should also check out my podcast. No new episode this week, a new episode next week. But anyway, thank you again, guys, just so much for joining. You all have been great. Had some good chats, some good discussions, and Yeah, let me know if you want to see more of this. More often, I want to try and have just streams again, just where we just hang out and chat, because I feel like that's where we get some of the best discussion, because, we read the chat here. See, please do a live stream every once in a while. Delighted to hear your opinions. Thank you. Same with you. I like I said, that's why I like doing live streams. I like hearing what y'all have to say, because it's more so than just like comments, right? Because you can leave a comment that's like a few sentences long, and then maybe that's it for the week. Or in a live stream, you can just send as many sentences as you want, basically. But anyway, thanks again, guys. You've been great. It's been a great live stream. I forget how to end live streams on mobiles, but maybe there's something I should how do I actually end this? I think it's that button. But anyway, yeah, thanks again, guys, for joining. Thank you so much for watching this. If you're watching the video on demand, again, check out GatorX Plays. It's so cool. I talked about